Hello candidates, this is Mr. Golova Farouk, welcoming you to this lesson where we shall look at the active and passive voice. Like the time you left, you had looked at tenses, and we now go ahead to take you through the active and passive voices of these tenses. Each tense has a different active and passive voice. So we shall look at these voices per tense we look at. So before we go to the tenses, let's look at what we mean by active voice, what we mean by passive voice. Active voice, we're saying, is that normal sentence where the subject begins the sentence, then the verb follows, and the object comes last. So it is what we're saying is where a sentence is begun with the subject, then verb, and the object comes last. For example, Stella washes clothes in the evening. So we're saying Stella here is the subject, the verb is the washing, then the clothes are the objects in this sentence. So this is the normal order. And we're saying on the reverse, passive voice uses it in the reverse, like we begin with the object. In this one, we began with the subject. We're saying when we come to passive voice, the object will come first. For example, we're saying this is where a sentence begins with the object, then verb, and the subject comes last. So we're saying here it was Stella washes clothes. In this one, we're beginning with clothes. Clothes are washed by Stella in the evening. So the clothes is now beginning this sentence. So like I told you, each tense has its own active and passive voice. So we now start on with present simple tense. We are saying present simple tense. So in such a tense, if we were to remind ourselves, these are actions that go on regularly, that happen every day, almost every time. So we're saying in such tenses, here, the object will be followed up with the is or are, then the verb in the participle form, and then the doer will come last if the doer is there. Like we're giving examples. We watch news in the evening. Do we have a doer in this sentence? Yes. We, you're part of those who watch news. So the object is news, and we're beginning news. So we shall say, news is watched by us in the evening. Example 2. The owners paint the house every month. So the object in this is the house. So we're beginning with the house, and we're saying the house is painted by the owners every month. So here at number 3, we're saying he drives a blue car. The object in this aspect is a blue car. So we're saying a blue car is driven. Number 4, we go to testing ourselves now. Mr. Makanga trains football every day. If we are meant to begin football, who can make this passive voice for us? Okay, we shall say football is trained by Mr. Makanga every weekend. The 5th example says the scar guards the gate. If we are to begin with the gate, what will we say? Okay. The gate is guarded by the askari. Example 6, we say we mop the classroom every weekend, and we are meant to begin with the classroom. You quickly make it for yourselves there. But here we shall say the classroom is mopped by us every weekend. Now, when we look at the responses we've given, for examples 1, 2, 3 up to like 6, you can realize that the response at 3 does not have a doer. Like here we said, news is watched by us. Here we're saying the house is painted by the owners. But for part 3, we're saying a blue car is driven. Who does the driving? Not mentioned. So here is where we come to our note of unclear subjects. We're saying these are subjects not known to the one listening. For example, if you mention Mr. Makanga trains football every weekend, the one listening will obviously know who does the training of football every weekend. But then if we say he drives a blue car, the one listening will not know who does the driving. So that's why we say, where the subject is not clear, in your reading you can't tell who did what, you don't mention it. You simply say, this action took place, you don't write who did it. Like we're saying a blue car is driven, and we're ending at that. So we're saying such pronouns or such nouns may include he, she, it, they, someone, somebody, and any other noun you may feel that when used You can't really tell who did the action. And that's how we change sentences from active to passive voices. So this was active and passive voice for present simple tense. We have the activity in our workbook at page 53. We shall send some more numbers about this in our activity plans. Thank you so much for following this.